I'm 17. I love to dance and spend time with my friends. I'm also a Girl Scout who just completed her Gold Award, which is the biggest accomplishment a Girl Scout can earn. It's a really big community service project that I led on myself to give back to an organization that I really care about. I also promised myself that I would speak out on a story that I've been keeping inside that relates to this project. Today I'm going to be talking about something kind of uncomfortable for me and kind of scary, but I know that I really want to bring awareness to this topic and just not be ashamed of what I went through, what other people are going through. So I'm really hoping I can at least help one person today with that. So throughout my childhood, I was always an energetic, shy girl who loved to try new things and have fun. I had little worries and I was confident within myself and my body. And then COVID-19 came and it just kind of shook me. I lost all of the joy I had from school and dance and clubs. I was spending a lot of time on social media where my feed was constantly full with content on how to stay fit and healthy. And because of this, I started a routine where I would exercise at home, and I convinced myself that I enjoyed this because honestly it felt like it was cheering me up. But this idea gradually just got a lot worse, and by the end of my sophomore year I was no longer myself whatsoever. I was spending the entirety of my day exercising and only eating the bare minimum. I had been tracking exercise on my Apple Watch, and I became very addicted to watching those numbers on my watch go up and tell me I was achieving my goals. I lost a lot of weight and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I kind of believed that nothing was wrong with me. It took my mom to kind of realize that there was a problem. She took me to the doctor, and in March of 2021, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder. I had no idea what an eating disorder was or meant. I had no idea what I was doing to myself, and I had terrible body dysmorphia to the point that I couldn't even see that I lost any weight at all. I thought I looked the exact same, if not heavier than before. I believed that my doctors and parents were overreacting and that I had everything under control. I just remember feeling so lost and looking in my parents' eyes and wondering why they were so worried about me when I was obviously fine. I was told we were starting the at-home recovery process. My doctor recommended me to a dietitian and a therapist, and I would go see them once a week. They tried to take away my exercise privileges. I was supposed to eat a normal amount of food again. The problem is that I was not okay with this. My eating disorder took over me so much that it wasn't going to let me recover. The voice in my brain was so strong that it took over the normal voice in my brain. So the only thing I ever heard was the eating disorder telling me to work out and burn that off, and oh, they're lying to you and you need to not eat that. These are just the things that I constantly thought. It made me believe that I had to sabotage everything I ate. I would secretly work out, hide behind my parents' backs. I lied to professionals, threw away my food at school. I just vividly remember believing that there was no point in recovery, and I was miserable, but I was too afraid that if I gained any weight, I would literally just I don't even know what would happen. It would just be terrible. And I was just so dependent on the high that exercise gave me that not doing it felt like I was gonna explode from the inside out. I would watch my mom sit on her computer all day just researching and reading and calling people, trying to figure out a way that she could help me, because everything she was trying to do, I would just scream and yell at her, and without her, I literally would not be here right now. So when I was first diagnosed, my dietitian told us about residential treatment, which we had never heard of before. She said that that would mean I would live away from home and they would provide treatment for me there. My mom and I both told her no, we don't need that, we can handle this on our own. But it turned out she was right. My thoughts would scrutinize me every time I did something wrong. I was literally a slave to whatever the voice in my head wanted me to do. Obviously my parents didn't want to send me away either, but they finally accepted that they needed help too. I kind of agreed that I was just at the point where I didn't really feel like living anymore. We took the next step towards residential treatment. All of the waiting lists were so long though, because this is a problem for so many people, especially after the pandemic, that we couldn't even get into one. We finally got a call from a place called Clementine Twin Lakes. It was a house in Northern Virginia. I cared for 12 girls at a time, and they had a spot for me. I was terrified. I hate sleepovers. I hate leaving my home, and these places didn't always have great reputations, but I knew it was kind of what I had to do at that point. Right before I went to residential, I finally kind of communicated with my parents what was happening to me, but my friends didn't know. So I met them at a park one day to kind of just say goodbye. My friend Lizzie, she asked me, she was what happened? Like, can you tell us what's going on? And I tried my best, and I just told them, like, honestly, how stuck I felt. And, like, I watched them just, like, they just started crying, and they were like, we were so worried about you. But then they were also like, we know you can do this. And I think that moment for me was a really big deal because I realized that people were aware of what was happening to me and they cared. And I think I realized that night how important it is to talk about it, because if I had talked about it with somebody a while ago, I think I would have felt so much better. My friends just gave me that motivation that night that it was really important for me to go to Clementine and give it my all. On June 29th, 2021, my family and I drove up to Clifton, Virginia, to Clementine. I remember feeling completely empty, having no idea what to expect. After a really hard goodbye to my parents, I stepped inside the doors of this beautiful house that was now my home and tended to feel like a prison a lot of the time. But I remember being like terrified. So I was surrounded by strangers who all were looking at me. And it took me a really long time to adjust because I was getting used to not having my parents around. I didn't have a cell phone. I got stuck on the phone for 30 minutes a day, and I begged to go home every single day, and they wouldn't let me. And it took me a good 2 weeks to finally like take a deep breath and relax and open up to people around me. A lot of strict rules, lots of eating, which is not comfortable for me at all. There was just a lot of strong emotions in that house and a lot to like witness and go through yourself. But on a more positive note, I did live with 12 teenage girls, and we all became very close with each other. Meeting those girls was the first time I realized I wasn't alone, because I had been the only one that I knew at home struggling with this. There was just like a lot of connection there, a lot of hope that they were doing it too, so I could do it myself. And just at some points, it just felt like summer camp. So I stayed at Clementine for 5 weeks. I remember my graduation ceremony and hugging my wonderful friends for the last time. And like I got this bracelet that I still wear every single day today. I just learned so much during my stay. As much as I didn't want to go, I became a much stronger girl. It was just what I needed. Like I needed Clementine. I needed it to help me change my determination from a negative intention to a positive intention. Even though I felt like I was in a much better place when I left, coming home was not easy. I had a totally new body. It looked totally different, in my eyes at least. But as soon as I did come home, I knew I wanted to start my Girl Scout Gold Award. And I really wanted to help Clementine because all they did for me. I remember looking through all of the things I had brought home from Clementine, and I found a grounding stone that I had made in art therapy. And it was just a simple little stone that I'd put a quote on, but I used it as a stress reliever during my stay, and I still have it now, and it kind of gave me an idea. Like, what if everyone at Clementine got to make a stone like I did? And I really wanted to make a way to like remind each girl that she was not alone. Eventually, I created the idea of a program called A Piece of Hope Grounding Stones. And when each girl was admitted into Clementine, or when she is, she will make 2 grounding stones. She will hold on to them and use them for relief while she's there. And when she graduates and heads back home, she will leave and drop her stone in a stone shelf. It's kind of like a piggy bank for a bunch of grounding stones. Each stone represents one person who's made it through. Something that I knew I wanted to do when I started this project was involve all of the girls that I stayed at Clementine with. And I mailed each one of them a kit that they could make their own grounding stones, and I also gave them paper to write inspirational notes for future Clementine clients to read. So the initial amount of stones in there are from the girls that I knew when I was there. I also designed many flyers and instructional materials for the program to hand off to Clementine, and a message from me so they can understand why I made this program. I also created like a how-to video, and I collected supplies. I also got to Zoom with the staff to tell them about my project and the clients themselves, like the girls, and that was a really cool experience. Even though I couldn't see the girls, I realized that I was actually making an impact, and it made all the hard work even more worth it. All of this took me from November to June, but I was finally ready to deliver the stone shelf and the grounding stone project back to Clementine. On June 29th, 2022, my 1-year anniversary of being admitted into Clementine, my family and I drove back there, and this time we were not going for treatment. We were going to drop off my long-awaited project. It felt very surreal to be back there. It also felt amazing because I could finally leave my mark on a place that helped me the most. I wouldn't be able to do this project without the staff of Clementine. They helped me so much during treatment and during this project. And I just hope that my project impacts the future clients of Clementine. They deserve to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a really long journey. I kept most of it all to myself. I I'm a different person now. I still have eating disorder thoughts all the time, but I'm also a lot stronger, and I think this happened to me for a reason. Instead of feeling shameful or embarrassed about something that I can't control, I'd rather proudly talk about it and share it with people who might not know about it. I just want people to know that mental illness is real. It comes from anywhere, and my eating disorder isn't the only one out there. There are many more disorders that are even more in the shadows than what I had. It's not shameful. You don't need to be bad off to deserve help. If you just need to talk to somebody, that's okay. Because of all I have learned from these experiences, I want to take a moment to read a letter I wrote to my eating disorder. I want to prove to you all, but most importantly, the eating disorder itself, that recovery is so worth the fight. And even though life throws hardships at us, there's always a brighter light on the other side. Dear eating disorder, it's me, your old friend. I've been loyal to you for a while, listening to your whispers, promising me that you'll bring me joy and all the happiness I needed. I did everything you said for so long, restricting, overworking, suffering, all alone. You were sneaky, but you got caught. Eventually I got strong enough to fight back. I destroyed you last summer. I made it back to school on time. I went to football games, that long-awaited Harry Styles concert. I made it back to dance better than ever, finally reconnecting with myself and my friends. Junior year had some of the greatest experiences in my life. You kept trying to tell me I'd never survive Clementine. I didn't need help. My friends hated me. But you were so wrong. I've been successful without you controlling me. I feel pretty again. I can feel the overpowering love and joy around me. Spontaneous ice cream chips and photo shoots excite me so much more than going to bed hungry. I've traveled, tried new things, faced my fears, and finally did the thing you always scream at me not to do: speak out. I did that overwhelming yet amazing grounding stone project. I am sitting in front of a camera right now, openly telling people what I went through. Not out of shame or embarrassment, but out of pride and hope. People are out there still dealing with you, and that is not okay. You deserve to be exposed and destroyed. I hope I can at least help one person combat your enslavement. If I hadn't had help, I wouldn't even be here today. So by me speaking out, I can do the same for someone else. I hope society begins to realize you aren't glamorous or an achievement. You are brutal, and even though you still bug me every single day, I know I deserve a life without you. I don't thank you for what you did to me and so many others, but I do thank you for making me stronger and brave enough to do this. So yeah, when I decided to do this project and this video, I knew it was far out of my comfort zone. But just to know that I could be making Clementine a bit easier for girls just like me, or maybe inspiring someone to get the help that they need through this video, makes me so happy. I hope I can continue to inspire and speak out in honor of the sick, trapped girl I unfortunately was just a year ago. Life is a beautiful journey, but we can't take it on our own. So I encourage you to keep your head up, ask for help, and keep searching for your piece of hope. Whether it's a grounding stone or just a hug, I promise you it's always there.